On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino, we give you what we'll be watching for in OU's game against Maine. Then we preview the best games of Week 10 of college football. And of course, we give you our winners and losers of the week, where we talk some Thunder and World Series. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search Oklahoma Breakdown on any of those, and you'll find us. All right, our man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's a beautiful Wednesday, October 30th, and you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and there are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted OKC's #1 casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack, blackjack match, roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And to learn more about their gaming promotions and entertainment options in the month of October, all you got to do is visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, good times, great rewards. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a new In the Weeds up, breaking down the X's and O's, hopefully helping you guys learn a little more about football. That's the goal, Ted.
Yeah. It's fun too. I like doing those.
It is fun. It's different, but it's fun. So go check those out and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Now, when we put the rundown together, our first thought is always, what does OU's fan base want to hear us talk about? And typically during the season, it's, hey, let's preview the game first. But unfortunately, the biggest discussion point right now as a fan base is all the tweets that Jacob Sexton's dad tweeted about me. And it would be, I don't know, it would just be silly for us not to talk about it, right?
Right. Yeah. Elephant in the room type of situation going on.
I suppose. It's kind of a one-sided thing. I Here's what I'll say. First and foremost, I'm praying for Jacob Sexton to make a quick recovery from his knee injury. I hate that this whole thing has opened the door to him receiving all this criticism. I absolutely hate that. And I want to make something clear. I still believe in Jacob Sexton. I still think he can be a great player at Oklahoma. He's got all the tools. He just needs to put it all together. And I believe if he can block out all the noise and play with good technique and do what he's coached, then he's going to play this game for a long, long time. So, wanted to get that out of the way.
Right.
I believe in Jacob Sexton and his future in this program. Oh, there are a lot of things to address here. We never really talk about our careers, our football careers on here. However, I do want to make something clear. It was my lifelong dream to go play at Oklahoma. And I feel extremely blessed that I was able to go fulfill that lifelong dream. I came as a blocking tight end. I left starting more games than any other offensive lineman in the history of the program. A record I still hold. I'm very proud of that. And because we had as much success as we did, I got a lot of honors for that. And I view them like as group honors. Like I got all that stuff because we won a lot of games. My NFL career, first year blew my knee out. I was on IR. Second and third year, 33 out of 34 weeks, I was on active rosters. 53. Fourth year, 2 different practice squads, was able to put both of those together to earn my 4th credited season in the NFL. And last time I checked, they don't just hand out vested pension plans. Ted, you have to earn that shit.
Yeah, you do. There's a reason why you have to do what you have to do to get it, because most people don't get that.
So just want to make it clear. That's pretty much the most I'm ever going to talk about my football career on here. Just I earned that. Let me make that clear. The podcast is free and will remain free. And it's free because all of these people listen and watch. And I believe the people listen and watch because the things that we say on here are well thought out and fair, whether that's praise or criticism. And it's the reason this is our 470th episode. Things being well thought out and fair is the reason that no one from OU's coaching staff or administration has ever said anything to us about something we've said on this podcast. Because if it's critical, usually it's got a lot of evidence behind it. So the podcast will continue to be free on YouTube. In fact, we're working on a website right now. It's not a subscription website or anything like that. We're just working on something where all of our stuff can be in one spot for people to find. And guess what? That website will be free. It's always going to be free because of all you people that watch and support us. That allows us to go attract sponsors because we have the numbers to take to them. And I encourage you to support our sponsors for supporting us. That's really all I'm going to say. I don't know. It's free. I don't know what else to say. It's always going to be free.
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, whenever the season's not going well, that's whenever this stuff really starts to fester a little bit, right? And people start to get edgy, and I get it. But I hate that anything that happens here would turn into something that is hanging over someone's head that didn't ask to be in that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want any of this crap hanging over Jacob Sexton's head. He should be working on getting healthy, playing football. Nothing else should bother him. So I hope that all of that kind of stops. You know what I'm saying?
I think I speak for both of us. Please stop saying bad stuff about Jacob Sexton on Twitter.
Yep.
That's unnecessary at this point. All that I think if you want to say anything to Jacob Sexton, make it positive. Encourage him to work hard during rehab and to get back. Like, that's it. I talked to him on the sideline at Ole Miss after he got hurt. All I said was, hey, man, I'm praying for you. That's it. And usually if I'm talking to the players on the sideline, 99% of the time, they're coming up to me to say something. But rarely I will go and give a few words of encouragement to a guy, whether they're struggling or something I saw that was really, really good. That's all I ever say to the players on the sideline is positive things. Since I've been doing this, I've never said a negative thing to a player on the sideline during a game. Want to make that clear as well. Went up to Logan Howland, said, hey, man, I believe in you. You can do it. Trust your technique. It's stuff like that. Keep going, boys. 4-quarter fight. Like, think of every football cliche you can think of, Ted. That's what I say to these guys. That's it. The last thing, Bill Bedenbaugh, I will always have his back. I love that man. And I had a long conversation with him on Tuesday. And I'll keep the details of that conversation between the two of us. But he is an excellent football coach, and he is an excellent man. Now, having his back doesn't mean I won't criticize the offensive line when they're not playing well. That's not what having someone's back means. But I will have his back when a bunch of people are saying that he needs to lose his job. I disagree with that. I think because I know the things that he teaches these guys, and for some reason, it's not translating to the field. And Bill's got to figure that out. That's on him to figure out. but he's a fantastic coach that cares deeply about Oklahoma football and deeply about his players. You know, when we had our first kid, when we have our kids, guess who we get clothes from in the mail for the babies? Now, I know it's Merity. I know it's his wife, but still, it says the Beaton Bows on it. Like, that's the kind of guy he is. And he's fantastic. This week, I'm listening to Todd McShay on Ryan Russillo's podcast. They talked about OU briefly. They talked about the O-line struggles. And McShay said this was on Tuesday. It's crazy they're struggling the way they are because Bill Beanbo is widely considered the best offensive line coach in college football and NFL circles. I don't want people to, like, people need to be reminded of that.
Right. Yeah.
Now, it's got to be better. And the funny part about Bill is if I'm seeing the things that I'm seeing, he's definitely seeing it because guess how I watch football? I watch football the way that Bill Beanbo taught me to watch football.
Right.
And there's no one harder on himself than him. So that out of all the things, like all those tweets, insulting my wife's family, whatever, okay. Happens all the time. Used to it. My wife's family are incredible people. Do a lot of great things for this community. I'm not worried about that. My wife is also an amazing person. But the part that really made me mad was the part that accused me of, running the bus over Bill Beatonbow. That's bullshit. Other than that, that's really all I have to say. That was a lot. That was more than I anticipated. The blood got going a little bit. That's okay, but we had to talk about it. It'd be silly if we didn't.
Yeah. No, that's right. And like I said, losing brings all of this stuff out. Hopefully we start winning some games down the stretch and everyone's feeling a little bit better. But I think you hit all of the relevant points there.
That's also a thing. Over the last couple of weeks, I've had people say stuff like, "Oh, isn't them losing better for you guys? Like, don't more people watch and listen?" I don't care. We desperately want this program to succeed.
And the answer to that is no.
And the answer to that is no.
You think more people consume the product whenever you're fighting to go to the Gasparilla Bowl, or if you're making a college football playoff, maybe hosting a home playoff game, or yeah, it's not even close.
I think I speak for both of us when I say this program means an incredible amount to us. And we want to see it succeed. It's not fun coming on here and talking about them losing games. It's not. I think we make that pretty clear that we don't have a great time when we have to recap them losing games.
My wife's always, it throws the whole house into, I should say, I throw the whole house into a mood whenever we lose. It's like, she's like, it's okay. It's going to be fine. I'm like, I hate this. I hate everything. It's not good.
You ready to talk about OU versus Maine?
Let's do it.
Good. Ted, looking at the matchup between OU's defense against Maine's offense, what are you watching for?
Well, you're not going to see a whole lot of new stuff from Maine. It's going to be the same type of offensive stuff we see week in, week out. They are, it was Coach Venable was talking on the show at Rudy's on Monday, said they were going to get in a huddle, like a legitimate huddle, come to the line and snap the ball every play with about, under 5 seconds left on the play clock. Going to try and shorten things as much as they can. So there's something interesting there. But, for us, these games are always I mean, call it a get right game, call it whatever you want, but we need to focus on us. And if we do all those things, then you should win the game and win it handily. Um, the number one thing that I want to see from the defense is no explosive plays. Specifically, we have to clean up whatever busts we're having on the back end that have over the last couple of weeks resulted in explosive plays. And it's probably not just one thing that you can point to and say fix this and we're good. It's probably something different every time. It's not the same guy every time, but too many times we've got miscommunication. Guys are playing separate coverages on the back end. You can't do that. It's been extremely costly. We've given up explosive plays because of that, and we are not right now a football team that can afford to give up explosive plays. So we got to be better on the back end, and we've got to be better with our eyes in coverage at corner. You know, we have to know where our help is, when we can be aggressive, when we can't. That's got to be fixed right now because as you look down you're going to face, Missouri. We'll see about Cook, but Milroe at Alabama, Nussmeier at LSU. You're going to see some guys that can turn your lights out down the field if you're not locked in on what you're supposed to do. So that has to
Oh,
be.
oh, Ted, don't get it twisted. If there's one thing Drew Pine's going to do, he's taking his chances down the field. It is proven.
You're going to toss it to old, Luther Bird and see what can happen there. So we got to get that better. Tackling. Um, feel like the last couple of weeks it's been better, but it has gotten us into trouble in some games this year. Texas tackling was as bad as I've seen it. So we need to clean some of that up, get the confidence back in some of the tackling stuff. It's not a huge concern, but it's something that you're always working on. Our four-man rush, I would expect that we're going to have a lead in this game, and we should be able to get to some four-man rush stuff quite a bit and work on just some one-on-one stuff. We don't get a whole lot of opportunities in it, which just the way some of the games have unfolded, seeing a lot of, 7, 8 man protection, stuff like that. But when we get some opportunities, and we'll probably just go four guys against them quite a bit, we have to figure out ways to win. We got to work on some counters, coordinate our rush together. That's something that has to continue to get better. And then finally, turnovers. We have to force some turnovers. And the well's kind of gone dry here recently. And there's something about it that it's just kind of contagious. When you get one, it feels like the second one comes easier and the third one comes even easier than that. And it just becomes kind of ingrained in what you do, and it happens more and more frequently. We were in that rhythm last season, and this year we started off early with it, and it's kind of gone dry on us here recently. We've got to get back to forcing turnovers in some high numbers. That's it as far as just kind of generally speaking. Do you have anything else that you'd like to see?
The only other question I have for you is in a perfect world, this game's over at halftime, right?
Yep.
So, who are some of the young guys you would like to see get some more extended snaps in the second half?
Yep. I got several guys listed. Number one, PJ. Let's be honest. He, I, the future of our defense looks good. We've got a bunch of really good, exciting young players. Depending on whether or not they decide to play here or not, but there's a bunch of guys that can return to play college football again next year that are really good players, and hopefully they all stay here because I think we've got a really good pipeline of good talent coming up. But we need our 5-star players to be 5-star players, and um, he's not off schedule, PJ, but it's time. It's time to start factoring in. He's had some health issues, which I understand, but it's time to start becoming a guy that we're talking about is going to take over one of those edge spots because, I mean, that's really where we're going to lose most of our experience on defense is going to be at edge. I think three guys, Downs, Woolard, and Trace Ford, are going to be gone, and we're going to have to fill those spots. PJ, I hope he gets some really good reps and gets some good confidence out there. And David Stone, I've liked what I've seen from him so far. I like the motor. I like the willingness to learn. He wants to play, and he's locked in. He's focused, and he's done some good things here as he's gotten some opportunities. I'd like to see him get a lot of playing time and continue to dial in on all the little intricacies that we do up front. It's not easy. Those guys do a lot. There's a lot on their plate.
The the only thing for Stone is still got that cast on his hand.
Yeah,
So that he's still doing some nice things, but anyone that's ever had to play with the cast on their hand, it limits your effectiveness. It limits the way that you can use that hand in particular,
yeah, and
especially for a defensive lineman.
yeah, exactly, exactly. At backer, Lewis Carter. I haven't seen as much from him since he had a couple of those missed tackles in the Texas game. I'd like to see him get back in there, get comfortable again, get his confidence back, see if he can play quite a few snaps out there, continue to develop. Probably see Kanik out there quite a bit as well. Hopefully, on the back end. Well, let me say this one, Desan. I think he's been really good. Hasn't had a whole lot of snaps, but what he has done has been solid. But I think it's just you need whenever you step onto the field and play your first game when everyone else in college football has played 5 games or however many it is, they're going to be ahead of you, right? Just as how much practice time they've had and you've missed. So just want to see him get out there, continue to get more and more comfortable because I think they can use him in a bunch of ways, in the future. Back end, Boganowski, Hardy, Powers. I mean, those are kind of the main three guys that I'm thinking about. Obviously, you still got your guys that are fairly young, like a Peyton Bowen, but he sees quite a bit of time. I'd really like to see Boganowski, Hardy, and Powers Powers. We haven't seen very much, and I don't know. I don't know what everyone's redshirt situation is, but definitely Boganowski. He was in the game on Saturday, and he had frankly had a mental mistake that cost us a touchdown, which I'm not trying to single him out. That that happens to everyone. It happens every game. Those things are going to happen, but just for him, we know what we're going to get athletically and physically. It's just some of the detail stuff that and that takes reps. It takes game reps. So hope to see him out there, and I think that's kind of it.
The only other guys, have we seen Danny Okoye at all this season?
No,
I'm trying to think.
I
He
think
looks
maybe
fantastic in a jersey.
yeah. I think maybe did we see him in the very first game? I don't even think we did. So I don't know. You
I
might
don't know
see
if we'll see him Saturday, but when you line the guys on defense up and you look at just the physical traits, he stands out.
yeah,
So it's hard to know without being at practice every day. It's hard to know what type of progress he's making as a player, right? When it
right.
comes to technique and sharpening all of that stuff to get him ready to play next season, because like you said, losing quite a bit at that edge spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we need those guys to come around and he's got time. He's in his first fall at Oklahoma, so I would expect to see him hopefully in the offseason he's going to make some leaps because there's some stuff that we saw through training camp where it's like, wow, this guy, he's got something. And it's probably the things that take all the experience, right? How do you play all of the different blocks that you get at edge, down block? They're coming at you. You're reading the quarterback. Are you the option player? I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. So just working on those details, he'll come along.
Anything else?
I think
OU's
that's it.
defense against Maine.
Stack some numbers. That's what we need this week.
I
We
love
need
it.
a goose egg up there and 5 or 6 turnovers.
I like the sound of that. All right, let's talk about what we're looking for from OU's offense versus Maine's defense. But first, hitting the highway, remember to stop at Love's Travel Stops. You can't miss the heart of the highway. And with the Love's app, you can also save big. How big? 10 or 15 cents big. Save 10 cents per gallon on gas and 15 cents per gallon on auto diesel. Save with the Love's app today and be welcomed by clean places and friendly faces. Certain conditions may apply. See loves.com for details.
Oh, you tailgaters, listen up. We're now officially in the premium conference of college football, and you expect a premium product on the field and on the grill. That's why you need Didier Ranch's steak burgers to take your tailgate to the next level. Proudly raised in Oklahoma for over 120 years, premium beef this good is hard to come by. Go to DidierRanch.com. That's DIDIER ranch.com. Use promo code Oklahoma15 for 15% off your order. Didier Ranch. Tradition plays better and tastes better.
And we are brought to you by Simple Modern, the official drinkware partner of the Oklahoma Sooners. This season, Simple Modern is creating unique drinkware for each home game. So get your exclusive refillable Sooner cups at any of the remaining home games. And when away games have you cheering at home, get your OU gear at simplemodern.com or Amazon's Simple Modern shop, along with more than 100 partnerships with colleges and professional sports teams. With 10% of all Simple Modern profits going to charity, many in Oklahoma, you're also helping Oklahomans off the field. Simple Modern, it's good everywhere. All right, looking at OU's offense against Maine's defense, I kind of viewed it as, hey, what are the goals of this game offensively? And I think the number one goal is to try to build confidence along the offensive line. We saw what that group, and I know that Sexton went down, but we saw what that group was capable of in the first half against Ole Miss. And my hope is that they gained some confidence from some of the really good things they put on tape in that first half. And confidence comes from going out and executing and having success. And I think that they can continue to build confidence for that group by doing a lot of the things that they did in the run game against Ole Miss.
Yeah, I agree.
The variations of counter, the variations of zone, whether that's inside zone, split zone, zone insert, sprinkle in some perimeter run game. I'd like to see more of that. But I think first and foremost, that should be the number one goal of this game, is to build the confidence of the offensive line. And there's a lot of young players on here that are going to be back next season. Right? I would assume it's going to be Logan Howland at left tackle still. That's a guy that he needs, if he plays with the proper technique, especially in pass protection, he should walk away from this game going, I got better today. And like a guy like Fabechi Wiwu, he just played his best game against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of conversation. Hey, why are we not seeing Eddie Pierre-Louis? Believe me, if Bill Bedenbaugh thought he could go out and execute at a very high level consistently, he'd be out there. But
yeah, they're not saving anyone at this point.
No, it's crazy. There's a reason guys aren't out on the field or haven't been given their opportunity. You have to earn that trust on the practice field. That being said, it sounds like EPL has really come along these last couple weeks. So I would like to see him out there.
Yeah.
Especially in the second half, because I hope this thing is well in hand by then. But you look at the rest of the schedule with Missouri, Bama, and LSU. They got some really good guys on their defensive lines.
Yep.
And this offensive line, Ted, they gotta continue to build confidence if this team wants a chance in those final three games to get bowl eligible.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. And I think I mean, this game comes at a great time. I think we've always looked at some of these in the SEC, these late non-conference games, and rolled our eyes at them. But it comes at a good time for us. Switching over offensive coordinators, you get a little bit of time to maybe tinker with some things more than just a game week. Um, but I'm with you. This should be like a cage session in baseball, right? Just getting some confidence before you go out there against the big boys. So no, I'm with you.
And for the offensive line, confidence comes like when you protect your quarterback, it feels good. It does. And looking at what Maine does on third and long, which I really hope we're not in a lot of those, but they get in bear and they twist. They get in four down, they twist. They get in double mug, they run games. And remember, you really struggled with that against South Carolina. So you know what's coming. They're going to be prepared. Just execute. They've got this interesting and third and extra long, three down linemen. They get in three linebackers, and they bring five. And they mix it up which five are coming. Sometimes one of those five is the corner. You got to be locked in. You've seen it on tape. Protect your quarterback. Like back to Logan Howland. I talked about his technique flaw that has showed up often this season. He's dropping that left foot. He's opening his hips. He's shortening the corner. Number 9, Xavier Holmes. He's 6'3", 245, and he's pretty twitchy. He's got 5.5 sacks on the year for Maine. Logan Howland will not get away with that technique flaw against this guy. And if I was Maine, I'd line him up over there all game long.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things. Like, there's not just some slappy that's going to be across from him. The guy's a solid player. So you have to play with good technique. You have to use your hands to block this guy. So there's that. The second goal of this game in my mind is continue to maximize Jackson Arnold's strengths. Now, that is closely tied to how the offensive line plays, clearly. But just thinking about the Ole Miss game, I think him getting a little involved in the run game gets him going. They did some of that stuff early. I think it gets him into the flow of the game. I think he likes it. I think it gets his juices flowing.
Get rid of the butterflies, go out there and take a hit or two. You settle into the game way faster.
In this game, I'd like to see him play from the pocket a little more. I wouldn't anticipate them having to run as much of the sprint pass stuff to move the launch point because you feel like you can't hold up consistently. Now, I guess there's the also the other side of that is, well, hey, that's probably what we're going to have to do against Missouri, Alabama, and LSU. Let's just keep working on it. So I don't think it's going to completely go away, but there are several snaps of him standing in the pocket, looking comfortable against Ole Miss. And I'd like to see more of that because I think that's got to be a big part of his game moving forward. Once again, O-line has to hold up, has to give him time, he has to trust the offensive line in those situations. But that is part of his maturation process is just playing quarterback from the pocket, going through his reads, being on time, seeing things clearly. I would like to see a lot of those types of plays in this game. And I'd like to see some explosive plays in the passing game. Whether that's Brennan Thompson, Jacob Jordan, Zion Reagans, Kearney, it doesn't matter to me. It has to be a bigger part of this offense finishing out the season. And that wide receiver group, they need to see more of them happen to believe. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, 100%.
Now, Maine has shown on tape their corners play way off. So it may be difficult in a lot of situations to just run by guys with how much cushion they give, but that opens the door for explosive plays like on the deeper timing routes. You run deep comebacks, you run deep outs, you run the deep over routes. And that's stuff that I would really like to see from Jackson Arnold and these wide receivers because they work on it all the time. And it's a chemistry thing, man. Like, hey, are you going to be at your depth on time? And then the wide receivers have to trust that Jackson Arnold's going to deliver the football on time. If Maine gives you this big cushion, then they need to go out there and throw some deep comebacks and throw some deep digs and throw the curls, throw the deep outs. And if the ball's on time, you can catch it and then go do something with it. So that's something I'm really interested in watching is those deeper timing routes and how they look for this wide receiver core with Jackson Arnold.
Yeah, we definitely need to get that part of the passing game going. And I'm with you. I'm to me the passing game, the run game, everything needs work. We all understand that, but we have to figure a way to stretch the field. We have defenses that are not being forced to defend the deep stuff, and it's got everyone just piling the line of scrimmage on us. We've seen this over the last couple of years. This is kind of, as we've gone deeper in the season, people come closer and closer and closer to us, and it gets really difficult. Just adding to, Brennan Thompson needs to have 10 targets at least. He needs to be forced the football, and it's not just all go balls. I mean, he's done some good stuff in just like the quick screen game. He's picked up some first downs, and we haven't gone back to any of that stuff for whatever reason. He needs. We're not going to get the cavalry coming back on at wide receiver. Doesn't feel like anytime soon. We need to get comfortable getting that dude the football.
No doubt about it. I mean, his speed. I just guarantee when defenses are watching Oklahoma's offense on tape, the number one thing where they turn and go, okay, is watching 15 run. I mean, it's it. It jumps out on the tape. So you gotta get that guy the football, and you got to use the threat of his speed to your advantage. And that goes back to the deep comebacks, those stop routes, the deep digs into the middle of the field. That stuff should be good because teams have to respect the speed that he's put on tape. Looking at really the last goal that I have for this game is get some of the young guys extended run in the second half. And the number one guy I want to see is Taylor Tatum. We've seen him play quite a bit. It's been up and down, but there's just no denying how dynamic he is as a football player. I want to see how he handles being the guy. I would assume Javonte Barnes is going to get a lot of run in the first half of this football game. Mm-hmm. But I want to see how number 8 handles being a 3-down guy and being out there for extended stretches. Can he stay locked in? Maine brings their number one blitz, and they bring it a lot, is just simple edge pressure. Whether they're bringing the nickel off the slot, whether they're bringing the will linebacker, they'll bring the corner. But one thing Maine understands is pass protection. They have a good understanding of where you are sliding your offensive line, what linebacker your offensive line is responsible for. And they bring the edge pressure away from that. They play the percentages. A lot of people will call it blitzing the back. And that's what they do. They are going to test your running back in pass protection. How will Taylor Tatum handle that? I have no concerns about Javonte Barnes. I know what that looks like at this point in time. He's going to go fit it up.
Yes, he will.
But Taylor Tatum being out there extended periods of time, understanding the big picture of the offense, his assignment within that big picture. How does he handle an extended string of snaps? That's what I'm really, really interested in seeing what it looks like, Ted.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because we all see the talent. We see that he's a guy that if he's able to put it all together, he can be incredibly dangerous. And it's a lot thrown on a true freshman. I get it, but if he's able to step his pass protection game up to be reliable there, hang on to the football, he can be a really, really good back.
Would like to see some of the young tight ends. We saw Cade McIntyre. He got on the field against Ole Miss. I don't recall seeing Caden Helms. So would like to see those guys get some extended snaps in the second half and see what it looks like. Oh, we talked about Eddie Pierre-Louis. Would love to see him out there. See what he's got. Running back, Tatum, Hicks, Robinson. Would be a lot of fun to see those young guys. Other than that, all the other young guys are already playing.
Right.
Look, wide receiver, the young guys are playing. We're seeing them.
Right. Yeah.
So, and maybe Autry gets into the game at tackle. I don't know.
I would imagine. I would hope.
You would hope you'd be able to get Tarquin out at some point and get him in. And I've heard good things about Isaiah, like his work ethic, the improvement that he's made since he's been here, and the improvement he's made within the season, which is exactly what you want to hear about a young offensive lineman. So, yeah, I want to see the young offensive lineman. Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. Let's go.
I mean, this is if you want to see what he's got, I mean, this is going to be your best chance to see what he's got. I mean, it's the lowest risk situation, and it would be good because you never know, you're going to be a play away often. And do you want his first snaps coming against Maine or against Alabama? Let's try and get him some against Maine.
That would be nice. Could you imagine being a true freshman offensive tackle and your first snaps are against Bama?
No, thank you.
It literally sounds like hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got anything else? I think that really when it comes to this game, and no offense to Maine, we kind of deviated from our normal format. We didn't have someone that covers Maine come on and talk about them. But it has everything to do with, hey, this game's all about Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Fundamentals. I think fundamentals is the number one thing I want to see.
Smart
especially
football.
along the offensive line. Like, what's the best way to phrase it? Do what I know you're coached to do from a technique standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that Fabechi Wiwu had his best game. You know why he had his best game, Ted? Against Ole Miss?
Most technically sound?
It was by far the best his technique has looked, especially in pass protection all season long. Not even close. And how about that? He played at a very high level.
There you go. Build on it.
How about that? And my hope is that not only Wiwu, but the other guys in the room go, hey, man, if we do that stuff, turns out it works.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see.
I also think it is interesting. The game could be used as a nice advantage for us because we still have the element of surprise to some degree with our offense, and Joe John's, you got the one game from Ole Miss. And like I said, it's like all that stuff happened on Sunday. You're not going to make a bunch of wholesale changes to the offense in one game week, but now you've got some extended time preparing for Missouri. And I mean, let's be honest, the staff would probably never admit to this, but this gives you some time to do some stuff. So every, people are going to be watching this game intently to see what direction Oklahoma's offense is going to go for the final push of the season. Gives you some chances to maybe skew some things or whatever. But most important is what you're talking about. Go out, find some confidence, and technique refresher game. Get back to the fundamentals.
O-line, I think they can come off the rock a little more in this game. Ole Miss was challenging with all the twist stuff that they do in the run game. Maine doesn't do much of that. So let's see some movement.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. But yeah, those are, I guess it's four main things. Build the offensive line's confidence, continue to maximize Jackson Arnold's strengths. Let's get some explosives going in the passing game. And then let me take a look at some of these young guys in the second half.
Yeah.
Those are that's my four-pronged approach.
I like it.
For OU-Maine when it comes to OU on the offensive side of the ball. That's all I want.
Yep. I have a nice stress-free game where we don't have it's been the same thing kind of recently, that we have good moments and then we have catastrophic stretches of football. Go out, get it back in your mind to play a good stress-free game. I think that'd go a long way.
Let's get to Caller Shot. We asked you guys the number one thing you'll be watching for in OU-Maine. This first one comes from Wishbone Willie. Mistake-free football. Our margin for error is razor thin the rest of the way. Need to prove that we can do the ordinary things with exceptional consistency. Otherwise, the only bowling this team will be doing this year will be at the local bowling alley.
Yeah,
I think that's a great point. Mistake-free, clean from a penalty perspective, especially pre-snap on both sides of the ball, clean special teams. Mistake-free would be awfully nice, Ted.
Yeah. And I liked the quote I heard from Venables yesterday, paraphrasing a little bit, but talking about playing mistake-free football. The penalties, the mental mistakes, dropped passes, all of those things. He said we can beat everyone left on our schedule. He said, I've seen it. I'm telling you we can, and I ain't wrong. So I liked his demeanor in that quote. And I agree. If you play smart football, if you stick to your fundamentals and your technique, you don't turn it over, you don't penalize yourself in bad spots, you'd be surprised at where you might find yourself in the fourth quarter against some really good opponents. Not saying you're going to win those games, but you'll give yourself a really good chance. So we need to put one of those type of games together for sure.
This other one comes from Ricky Harness. It says, play all the young linemen. I hope we see a lot of them in the second half on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
That means things are going well. If we don't, Ted, oh boy.
I mean,
let's not even entertain that thought. We need to put positive energy out into the world for this fan base and this program. We are going to see a lot of young defensive linemen and offensive linemen in the second half. That's how it's going to be.
Yeah, we're going to be fine. One of the reasons, though, is just we need to have some less exposure for the guys that have played a ton of football for us. I mean, it's just I'm not even going to put it out there, but We'd be good to see some other guys playing instead of those guys for a bunch of reasons.
Reduce the risk factors.
Yeah. 100%.
That would be nice, especially when you consider what's left on the schedule.
Yeah.
Absolute gauntlet coming up for the Sooners after this one. Anything else?
I think that's it. I
All
think
right,
that's it. Dodge
let's.
the let's dodge the lightning, please. Play
Yes.
this
Oh
thing
my
on
gosh.
time
If
and get
there's a
out of there.
weather delay for this game, oh, love the 1:30 kick, but if there's a weather delay for this game, oh my gosh.
Hey, and I don't know if this is like in their plans at all, but this is a SEC plus game. If you need to move that thing to avoid some weather, move it. Whatever time you got to kick it off to get some clearer skies, let's do it.
I think that this fan base has proven over many years we know how to handle 11 a.m. kickoff. Okay. So if we got to move it, which I don't even know. Can you even do that? Can you do that? They do it for like hurricanes and stuff, but can you do
Well,
that?
I think you can. That's why I was saying it's an SEC plus game, so it's not like it's slotted perfectly into a television window,
Right.
but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Some other good games this weekend, though.
Yes, there are.
Let's talk about them. But first,
Schwab Meat loves football. They make delicious smoked meats, hot dogs, and sausages for us to enjoy before, during, and after games. You should go load up on schwabmeat.com and use promo code OKBreakdown for free shipping on orders over $75. Schwab also loves football players in Oklahoma. They partner with Danny Stutzman and Nick Martin. Those two linebackers got the dog in them. Schwab should know dogs are what they do. Schwab Meat, the official hot dog of game days.
and three things matter in banking: service, service, and service. And First Fidelity Bank's commitment to exceptional service is more than a promise, it's their foundation. FFB has been by your side for over a century, and they are honored to be a part of your journey. Banking isn't about where you've been, it's about where you are headed. Open an account at an award-winning bank today at ffb.com. At First Fidelity Bank, we go where you go.
And head to the garage for hand smashed patties, butter toasted buns, and ice cold beer. It's the perfect spot to watch any big game. And with all the garage locations being open at 10 p.m. or later every night, it's the go-to late night spot. Visit eatatthegarage.com to find a location near you and order a line from the garage in your neighborhood.
All right, week 10 in college football. Let's start in Happy Valley. Number 4 Ohio State travels to take on number 3 Penn State. This is big noon kickoff, 11 a.m. Central on Fox, which just feels wrong. It just feels wrong for this game. Ohio State is currently a 4.5-point road favorite. Ted, is this the year James Franklin gets it done? He is 1-9 against Ohio State. And when you look at the circumstances, it looks like 1-10 is definitely more likely than 2-9, because Ohio State's bringing one of its most talented teams in a long time, and we don't know what Drew Aller's status is for this game. After he had that knee injury against Wisconsin, and Bo Pribula, I've heard it said a million different ways. Is he the type of guy that can go and beat Ohio State? I don't know, but not ideal circumstances for the Nittany Lions in this one.
It's not. I guess it's good that you get them at home. You wish that you had them at home at night with a whiteout or something at that place. But to me, this one's almost more about Ohio State than it is about Penn State. And I know starting quarterback, huge deal for them. But I mean, and he plays clean and efficient. Drew Aller does, but he doesn't put up huge numbers. They get a lot out of their running game, and they spread it around quite a bit to a bunch of different players. It's like what you would expect from Kotelnicki, right? all kinds of different creative ways to get guys the football. Um, I you clearly you want him to play, and I think because of how they use him, you could. I mean, I could see him playing more injured than you typically would, if that makes sense. But um, aside from that, the rest of the circumstances are about all you can ask for, right? Like, I don't know how great Ohio State is necessarily. I mean, they've got great players, but I mean, if you're looking at how good Penn State is and how good Ohio State is, this is probably the best opportunity they've had in a while.
I would think so. And the line is actually down to 3.5 now. Ohio State's only favored by 3.5. But could it be the game where it all comes together for Ohio State?
Yeah. Penn State's been a get right game for them in the past.
And looking at that game against Nebraska, like Ohio State really struggled to run the ball. And their left tackle situation is not a good one. So is this the game against a really good Penn State defense where they get the run game humming with Henderson and Judkins, and then that leads to them just pushing it down the field with explosive plays to just that stable they've got in that wide receiver room? Maybe that happens, but it kind of feels like this game's going to come down to what Will Howard is able to do. To me, I
Right.
think he's going to just have to make some big time throws under pressure, like deliver the ball when he's getting hit. And he's certainly got the wide receivers to make those plays. There's no doubt about it. But I really think it's Will Howard's the guy that's going to have to play at a really high level to get this thing done for Ohio State, because I could see that run game struggling again. If you can't run it against Nebraska, it's going to be hard to run it against Penn State.
Why why do you think the run game is struggling like it is? I mean, we know they've got one of the most talented running backs in the country.
Two, maybe the two most talented.
There you go. So what's is it just not getting movement there? Is
Yeah.
it the quarterback position that's affecting it?
I don't know why they haven't used Will Howard a little more as a runner. Like, he's capable of running. And maybe this is the game. Maybe they dial a little more QB run game up in this one, but I don't think Penn State's going to be able to run it against Ohio State either.
Yeah. Their D line for Ohio State is fun to watch.
Really good. Now, Penn State's got great backs as well with Allen and Singleton.
Yeah.
There's some really good running backs in this football game, but I think it comes down to the quarterback play. Whether that's Aller or Prabula, maybe Prabula gives him a better chance. Like, I don't think Aller being back there with a hurt knee and being a statue sets Penn State up for success, Ted.
No, and whenever you see what are we going with? Prabula?
You go Pribula, and I'll go Prabula, and that way
Okay.
we cover both.
Pribula is whenever you look back at what he did whenever he came in against Wisconsin. I mean, he ran the ball quite a bit. He's a smaller, shiftier guy. He's like 205 pounds.
That offense got going when he went in.
Yeah, and he had a super efficient day throwing the ball. But I didn't see if that's much downfield, but he was 11 to 13, threw a touchdown, 98 yards, ran it 6 times, 6 for 28, and don't know what the sack situation was there or anything. But I mean, you feel like he can move around a little bit, and you look at their offense. It's not surprising the way Kotelnicki does things. I think they got 3 guys, and he's one of them that are averaging, over 5 yards a carry. Up there, a couple guys up around 6. So they'll have something really creative for Ohio State that they probably haven't seen, and there's always the threat of what are they going to do next whenever Kotelnicki's calling plays. So I don't know. I'm This is a big one for this is like the prove it game for Penn State, man. It's about all you can ask for. And I know your quarterback is banged up, so that's a factor, but you're undefeated. When's the last time they were ranked higher than Ohio State? Not that that matters, but I mean, it's a confidence thing. You're playing at home. I mean, come on. This has got to be it, doesn't it?
Give me Ohio State by double digits.
Jeez.
I just think when I look at the matchup, I think one team has way more big play capabilities in the passing game. Tyler Warren, who is a hell of a tight end, going to have an awesome NFL career. But Penn State's tight end has 200 more receiving yards than any other player on their team. The tight end,
It's got to be all those pop passes and hide plays and
but you look on the other side, you've got Jeremiah Smith, you've got Carnell Tate, you've got Ibuka. Like, I just think that those guys can change this game with just a couple of plays. And I think I think Ohio State has more of those guys.
it's true.
Also, James Franklin 1-9 against Ohio State. That is a big factor
That's a
in my
hard
thinking.
one to get past, isn't it? I
It
mean,
is. So give me the Buckeyes. Who do you like?
my heart says Pennsylvania State, but the brain is saying Ohio State. It's different for me though with Will Howard. I saw way too much of Will Howard at K State, so that is like really messing with me.
You can't get the Oklahoma State performance out of your head from last year
Yeah,
when
there's
he
things
single-handedly lost them the football game.
he carries a lot of baggage for me. I mean, think about the end of the Oregon game. Right? You don't want to just heap all that onto one guy, but he carries a lot of baggage for me to pick them in this game. But oh, what the hell? It's no fun. Give me Penn State.
Ooh, okay.
Give
A
me Penn
podcast
State.
divided on the big game of the weekend. I like it.
Go with your first feeling, your intuition, and that's instantly what it tells me is Penn State. I'm going with that.
Things are, if that happens, not to say that Ryan Day will be on the hot seat, but the discourse will ramp up.
Oh, it'll ramp up, but the situation the Big Ten has brewing at the top, if Oregon, Penn State, and Indiana all win out, isn't Oregon an undefeated team that's not going to be in the Big Ten championship game?
That is how I understand it.
How crazy is that? Oh wow. Which ultimately that's what I want. Give me chaos, okay? Give me chaos. As long as it's not affecting us, and I don't think it's going to this year, just throw all of the wrenches in all of the gears.
Moving on to the next game. Number 10, Texas A&M travels to South Carolina. 6:30 p.m. kickoff on ABC. Currently, A&M is a 2.5 point road favorite, and this is a very interesting game. Texas A&M coming off the big emotional, like just second half dominance of LSU. And meanwhile, South Carolina's just been chilling on the bye week, getting ready, resting up, couple weeks to work on this one. Ted, this place is going to be nuts.
What
This
a great
feels
game.
like a very dangerous spot for A&M.
Oh, I totally agree. Coming off of the huge emotional win and the way that thing went down, and now you're going on the road to a rested South Carolina team that presents a totally different challenge than what LSU did. And let's not forget that they did fall behind in that game. And I know the second half was incredible, but man, this this feels like the stumble game for Texas A&M to me.
Okay. I I think they're going to go win.
Do
And It has everything to do with I think that their defensive line is going to get after that group from South Carolina. Now, yes, South Carolina's defensive line is very good. Dylan Stewart and Kyle Kennard, they can change the game in a couple of plays. We saw it firsthand in Norman. But I just think that on a down in, down out basis, I think A&M's offensive line will hold up more consistently than South Carolina's offensive line. And if you can't get Rocket Sanders going or Lenore Sellers going, if that run game is stuck in the mud and Sellers has to play from the pocket consistently, that's I just don't think that's a great recipe for success for South Carolina. So I expect it to be a really close football game, but I believe in Texas A&M, man. I think they go and get it done.
I think Texas A&M is I think they're the better football team. And if they played this game 10 times, I think they'd win the majority. But they're playing it once. They're playing it on the road. They're playing it right after they had a huge emotional win at the house, and everyone's telling them how good they are. They're playing against the South Carolina team who's rested, ready, confident. They're playing a team that is used to playing in chaos. I don't know. I think for all of those reasons, I think it's gonna be an incredibly low scoring game. I think this is like a 17-14 type of football game. Um, and I think South Carolina's the way their defensive line plays, whenever you combine that with Marcel Reed, who I think that I think the pressure that the way South Carolina's D line is going to play against him is going to change the way he plays. You know, he I don't think he'll be as good doing the things that he does with the way that they attack. It's it's going to be way more difficult.
If he's going to ride the mesh point as long as he did against LSU in that second half, Dylan Stewart's going to come in and hit him straight in the chest.
He's going to take some in the chops.
So we'll see what it's like, and maybe that's not being talked about enough. Like you're taking a freshman quarterback and starting him in a very hostile environment against a good defense.
Against a really good defense, and like that's the only reason I'm taking South Carolina is just because of all of the other things, and I just happen to think it's like the perfect storm for A&M right now. And say what you want, like I think South Carolina they are a dangerous football team, and I think everyone respects them, but it's still not. You're not going to Alabama. You're not going to Georgia. So there is that level of, oh, thank goodness we've got South Carolina this week after we played LSU. And that's not really the feeling that you need to have going to South Carolina. And maybe that's not the case, but I it's so hard to get young players to be able to play good, consistent football week after week. And after watching them on television, they're going to have a really good plan for Reed. And I'm not saying LSU didn't have a plan, but it's going to be different than the way South Carolina is going to be able to prepare for him. Like, because you'd be shocked if they're not going with Wegman, right? They're going to go with Reed, and they're going to have a much better plan put together.
Give me A&M for two reasons. Number one, I think Le'Veon Moss can have a big day on the ground because of how Marcel Reed affects how you have to play defensively with his ability to run. Number two, I'm scared. I'm scared to bet against Mike Elko.
Yeah.
That's just kind of where I'm at with it, Ted.
But okay, I agree. And you know that I like Elko a lot. But even like the comments after the game, I love him. What he said about this is a real program. You don't have a politician or a salesman. I I love that. But it is one of those things that you feel like could have gone unsaid. He said it, and then you go and get your face dunked in the toilet the next week on the road against South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? It's just I feel like that's maybe one of those moments.
He did in his press conference this week, he did clarify those statements though and say
Okay.
he wasn't talking about Jimbo.
Oh, okay.
So does it cancel it out?
No, because he's lying. Of course he's talking about Jimbo.
So you don't believe the clarification that he came out with?
No.
He may have been talking about Brian Kelly too, but he said he wasn't talking about anyone. Speaking it, it's not exactly what he said, but he's kind of made it sound like, hey, I was just speaking in generalities, you know?
Well, I don't know. Look at that. We're different on both games so far.
Are you more interested in Ole Miss at Arkansas or Oregon at Michigan? I can't believe when the Big Ten schedule came out and you had that Oregon at Michigan game. Oh my gosh, did it look juicy? And now that thing, you talk about a game with no sizzle. Ugh,
Yeah. I'm more interested in the Ole Miss game, Ole Miss Arkansas,
me too.
and
They can go to Fayetteville and lose.
it's hard to know what Arkansas you're going to get.
I I completely agree, and that's number 19 Ole Miss at Arkansas. That's an 11 a.m. game on ESPN, and I believe Ole Miss it was at a touchdown. I think it's below a touchdown now. Ole Miss they're currently a 6.5 point favorite. Oh nope, back up to 7 point favorite. But Arkansas is coming off a game where they put 58 on Mississippi State in Starkville, and it's not Mississippi State's not a great team, but they've been playing some decent football. 58's 58, man. Taylon Green was slinging it all over the place in that one. And I think that they're capable of producing explosive plays in the passing game. For Ole Miss, I think one of the big storylines for this game is, hey, what's the health status of a couple of your best players, maybe your two best players in Trey Harris and Walter Nolan?
Yeah, whatever. Did you ever hear anything on Walter Nolan?
I haven't heard any type of update.
Yeah.
I mean, it was clearly a knee injury, right?
Yeah, and but it wasn't so bad. Like he was out there on the field in pads, but without his helmet. He just didn't look like a guy that was coming back in. So it's hard to know what to take from that. Um, I don't know. He, maybe this is controversial. I don't know, but am I crazy? I don't think Ole Miss is very good.
I think that Arkansas's defensive line will hold up fine against that offensive line for Ole Miss. And it comes out Arkansas plays a style of defense that is geared at preventing the explosive play in the passing game.
Mm-hmm.
Taking away some of the RPO stuff, like that's what their defense is built to do. So it could just be a bad matchup for Ole Miss.
Yeah,
I If they can limit the explosives from Jackson Dart in the passing game and make Ole Miss run it consistently and execute in the red zone, I assume it's going to be another wild atmosphere in Fayetteville. I don't know. It absolutely feels like a game that Ole Miss can go and lose.
yeah, 100%. I wasn't very impressed. I wasn't impressed with their offensive line. I wasn't impressed. I don't think their running game is very good at all. Um, Dart can make some really nice throws at times, but there's other times where he looks like they look pretty average, and that's without Trey Harris. Now he changes a lot for them on offense, and defensively, I I saw us show up and run the ball really well against them, and
And we haven't been able to run the ball against anybody. Let's be real.
right, and we are our offense is a shell of itself. Like everyone knows, we don't have our top five wide receivers. I don't know. I just don't think Ole Miss is all that good. And Arkansas being at home, they've got some confidence back. Quarterback's healthy. Give me Arkansas. I'm just like signing up for all of the chaos this week, aren't I?
I love it. I'm
Might be
kind of
might
leaning the
be 0
same
for
way.
3.
I'm kind of leaning the same way as you, but let's keep this let's keep this a consistent theme. Let's go different on all three games.
Okay.
Give me Ole Miss in a close one.
You've got all the favorites. I've got all the dogs.
What could possibly go wrong for me?
uh,
All right, let's finish up with our winners and losers of the week. But first, Academy Sports and Outdoors is proud to be your hometown store for the best brands at the best prices in the state of Oklahoma. And now shopping at Academy is more convenient than ever. They offer free assembly on in store purchases of most bikes and grills, plus free and easy 1 hour curbside pickup on academy.com orders. Want to save even more every day? Open and use an Academy Sports and Outdoors credit card to get 5% off future purchases when you're approved. Save time and money at Academy Sports and Outdoors and have fun out there.
Insurica's launched a new digital agency introducing Insurica Direct. Whether you're in Oklahoma or anywhere across the U.S., they've got you covered. From small business insurance and health insurance for your employees to insurance for individuals like home, auto, and even Medicare supplements. Insurica Direct's got it all. Start your journey today at insuricadirect.com. Remember, at Insurica, we specialize in you.
And head to opolisclothing.com for our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's OPOLIS clothing.com and use promo code TED, TED for 10% off. That's opolisclothing.com. Promo code TED for 10% off. Buttery soft and 10% off. All right, Ted, let's finish up with our winners and losers of the week. As always, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the week?
I got to go with the Yankees. Getting it done, avoiding elimination. They needed that win. Now, obviously, it's 3-1. They're still alive, and they got the bats going. Big grand slam. Pitching was pretty solid throughout. Uh, Freeman still hits a home run, which I guess is just going to happen in every game of the World Series. Like, no big deal. But able to get the win, man. Closed it out nicely. Able to add a bunch of runs there in the eighth to seal things off. And a much needed victory to extend this thing a little bit longer.
Yeah, and by the time some people listen to this, maybe the Yankees will have lost.
Right.
But there were so many entertaining things in that game. The Volpe story is really cool.
Yeah.
Now they made it sound like he committed murder in the first inning with the base running error. Like, okay, I get it, wasn't great, but they kept bringing it up. They were like redemption when he hits the grand slam. He ended up scoring. Maybe I
right.
maybe I just don't understand baseball, but it seemed like a very extreme reaction to the situation. But him growing up as a Yankees fan, the pictures of him as a kid, and then you hit a grand slam in an elimination game of the World Series. That's cool as hell.
Big time. Yeah, that's awesome. And you love it whenever they know it as soon as it's hit and that you're at home and the reaction you get from the crowd. That was really cool. I like that. And the crowd was a factor. How about that in multiple ways?
I couldn't believe it. It was like out of a movie. They were trying to rip Mookie Betts' arm off his body. What do you what do you think those two guys were thinking? That was one of the funnier things I've ever seen from
Give
a
me
fan
that
in
damn
sports.
ball. I mean, and he was just like cheesing, like, what? What? Yeah, no big deal.
I saw someone, I guess someone saw him after a bar after the game, and he basically said, if it comes in our area, we got to D up. And they did. I mean, they absolutely did. But that was I couldn't stop watching the replays of it. It was so funny. Like the guy's facial expressions, Mookie Betts'
He's
reaction is
like,
just like, is this
what is
actually?
happening right now? It's beautiful. Aaron Judge got a hit.
Maybe that gets him going a little bit.
Maybe that gets him going.
How'd you feel about the Dodgers going? I mean, it was a bullpen game.
Kind of expected. Get some rest. Regroup a little bit with your lead guys, and they tried to get through it. They had a chance. What was it? It was like
It was 4 to
uh
5.
yeah, 4-5 going into the sixth, and then the Yanks had another one. But I mean, going into the bottom of the eighth, you're within two, and then they added that big inning in the eighth where they got five in. So I mean, I think that was pretty expected. Get the other guys some extended rest, and we'll see.
I still can't believe those two guys tried to do that.
That's like an all-time. That's going to live on for. That may be the most memorable moment to come out of this World Series.
That's way funnier than the Bartman thing. I know it's been a long time since that happened,
Yeah,
but
that was like the Bartman thing was like
an accident. This was
an accident, and like where it came and how it all happened. That ended up being a bad deal. That was a really bad deal.
bad deal.
Real
But
bad deal.
hey, we get to watch another World Series game. I'm all for it. I only watch playoff baseball, so I never know how. I've got maybe one game left, Ted, until next October.
Well, there you go.
Who do you have as your loser of the week?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's been rough. Baker's lost his two best wide receivers. They've lost three out of their last four games. Dropped one at home to the Falcons after losing at home to the Ravens. Things are going tough. Defense isn't playing great. And without his star wide receivers, things have been way more difficult on Baker. The interceptions have piled up. I think he's thrown 7 interceptions in the last 3 games, 3 or 4 games. So he was really clean previous to that. They got to find a way to get things going again. Um, I it's not going to be easy. They're at the Chiefs on Monday night, so that not exactly the game that you want to try and get back on the winning side of things. But I don't know. They just got to try and get to the bye week and try and get Evans back. Hopefully he's still on pace to get back after the bye. I mean, they got the Chiefs and the 49ers in back-to-back weeks. So they're going to be limping into that bye week, trying to get things turned around.
Not an ideal situation.
Mm-mm.
It is. It's a good reminder. Really, at any level of football, how important having your best wide receivers, is. Like just how important that
No
is
doubt.
to having success.
No doubt. It changes things really quickly.
I think OU fans have a very good understanding of that after going through this season.
Yeah. 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 And I think we may have mentioned it, but I don't know who it was, but someone said, like, someone at ESPN said the Ole Miss Oklahoma game would have been worse if Trey Harris played. And everyone's like, oh, really? How would it have been if their top five wide receivers didn't play? How would it have, what would it have looked like at that point? So, yeah, Oklahoma fans understand very well.
I am interested. Speaking of wide receiver injuries, see Stephon Diggs towards ACL.
Yep.
Nico Collins hurt. Like I'm interested to see how CJ Stroud and that Texans offense looks moving forward. Got to have
Yeah.
your guys, man. It
Gotta
even
have
as
your
good as
guy.
CJ Stroud has looked.
Yep. He's looked good. Um, Man, I feel like there's been a lot of big time injuries this year. Maybe there is every year, and I say the same thing every year, but um, I don't know. Ultimately, we want to see all the best players in the world play. So let's stay healthy out there.
Agreed. All right, let's get to my winner and loser. But first, Lucy Breakers are 100% pure nicotine pouches with an extra burst of flavor, and you get them delivered right to your front door. Go to lucy.co and use promo code breakdown at checkout for 20% off your first order. That's lucy.co and use promo code breakdown. Go to for us, 4 milligrams mint.
Mm-hmm.
All you need. Perfect for the golf course, perfect for a plane ride. But I know there's some more hardcore people out there. They've got the 8 milligram breakers as well. Lucy Breakers come in a variety of flavors, including classics like mint, but they also have berry citrus, espresso, and mango. You can even set up a subscription to make things even more convenient. Level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co and use promo code breakdown for 20% off your first order. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. For my winner of the week, thought about going with the Oklahoma City Thunder for multiple reasons. Watching them overwhelm the Hawks in the fourth quarter a few nights ago was amazing. 38-19 in the fourth in that one. And it was fueled by fantastic defense. It was a great game, back and forth, and then all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, it was a blowout. And this team still hasn't shot the ball well. And once the shots start falling, watch out. But I almost made them my winner of the week, Ted, because I have finally convinced you to come to a Thunder game.
Yes.
Ted Lehman will be in the house for Thunder Spurs Wednesday night. Let's go.
Let's win this thing. Okay. This needs to be a good omen that I'm there, right? Don't disappoint. We'll never come back.
Going with our buddies from Simple Modern. Pretty excited about it.
It'll be fun.
Should be an awesome night.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brian and Mike. Appreciate you, boys.
It's worth going just to see what Wembanyama looks like in person.
He's an alien. Prepare yourself.
Yeah.
It's incredible. You're going to see Chet and you're going to go, wow. And then you're going to see Wembanyama and go, what the hell?
Yeah, that's wild. He's crazy. They say he's added a ton of weight too, right?
Yeah.
Filled
I
out.
mean, yep. Well, it should be a lot of fun. Can't wait. Can't wait to see your intensity on the sidelines. I'm pumped. But
Better
my
not
winner of
come
the
over there
week,
diving for an out of bounds ball. I'll be throwing a forearm on someone.
well, if it's a Spur, yes. If it's a Thunder player, I expect you to like catch them and gently deliver them back to the floor.
I would. Well, no, I don't want to make Sports Center. No, because it would probably be something bad. Don't want to make Sports Center.
My winner of the week. Give me the SMU ponies. I think they're
Okay.
aren't they actually the Mustangs? But I like ponies better, way better.
Ponies.
Having a good season, 7-1, coming off an eventful overtime win over Duke. Their only loss was an 18-15 loss in early September to BYU, and well, BYU still undefeated.
Top 10 team.
But number 20 SMU, big showdown with number 18 Pitt Saturday night. It's a damn shame the game is on ACC Network, but hey, it is what it is.
I mean, when they scheduled that one, did they know that you're going to have a 7-1 SMU and an undefeated Pitt?
Don't think they saw that coming. But one of the reasons I'm making them my winner of the week, great season, but they may be getting a huge break in this football game. Pitt starting quarterback Eli Holstein, the Bama transfer, he got banged up late in their Syracuse game, and his status is unknown for this one. And there is no one that hates talking about injuries more than Pat Narduzzi. My goodness. The guy refuses to give you anything. But even if Holstein goes, you got to imagine he's going to be hobbled, right? He's not going to be 100%, and SMU's at home for this game. Other team's quarterback is banged up. You're feeling good about things. Sometimes you just need a little luck to have a special season, Ted, and it kind of feels that way for SMU in year one in the ACC.
Yeah,
It's pretty impressive, man.
it really is. And, they're playing good football. They've dumped you know, everyone kind of, not everyone, some people chuckled whenever SMU got the bump up to the ACC to the big boy football, but the donor base said we're making up the ground. We're pouring some money into this thing, and as of right now, they're looking. I mean, SMU, they've got some really nice built-in advantages to where they are, and if they could make something happen and really become something on the national stage now that they're in a Power Four conference, this could be a huge stepping stone for them.
If you just took more recruits to Shug's Bagels right next to their campus, they'd get more. They'd get more top end talent.
Yeah.
Incredible breakfast bagel.
Hey, SMU thrives in when you can pay players, they're going to have a really good football team.
Kevin Jennings he's fun at quarterback. Now he's got to take better care of the ball than he did against Duke. But ever since they made the switch from Stone to Jennings, I mean, the element that he brings as a scrambler and as a runner, he's a really entertaining player to watch. And when you look at their remaining schedule, if they can get by Pitt, Boston College at Virginia, and Cal,
Winnable.
they are well positioned to play for an ACC title in year one. Now, from the way that I understand the tiebreaker, they need Miami or Clemson to drop one because, and I read this, if all three of those teams go 8-0 in conference play, it would get to tiebreaker number 5 in the section of 3 teams or more tied. And the number 5 tiebreaker is combined ACC opponents win percentage in conference games only. If you're wondering, the number 6 tiebreaker is teams with the highest ranking by the team rating score metric provided by Sports Source Analytics.
Huh.
So we're getting deep into the tiebreakers, Ted. I think they need a little help from Miami and Clemson. They need someone to drop one. But still, year one in a new conference, really good season, great opportunity to possibly play for a conference title. Hell of a job by Rhett Lashley and that staff and those players.
Well, it is. It is. Yeah, they've got. I mean, I'm just looking at it's funny, like we're talking about in the Big Ten. Those top 3 teams right now don't play each other down the stretch. Now Clemson and Pitt play, but outside of that, I don't think any of the other teams play each other.
That's why you get to tiebreaker 5 because they don't.
I mean,
if those 3 go undefeated, they will not have played each other.
And Miami hasn't played anyone. I mean, they played Florida to open the season, but Florida A&M, Ball State, South Florida, Virginia Tech, Cal, Louisville, Florida State, Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, Syracuse. That's their whole schedule. I mean, it's hard to imagine that Miami doesn't win out.
I agree with that, but you never know. It's college football.
Hey, there's no doubt about that.
But it does kind of feel like the year of the newcomer. We've talked about this. Oregon feels like they're going to be in the Big Ten championship game. Texas has a great chance to play for an SEC title. Colorado has a nice chance to play for a Big 12 title. And then SMU in the ACC, like the year of the newcomer, man.
Crazy.
My loser of the week, Anthony Richardson. So first of all, dude has not played great football, completing 44% of his passes. Not good. And he was getting killed for his performance against the Texans last week. 10 for 32 in that one. Did throw a touchdown, but also threw an interception. But Ted, that's not what people are talking about. That guy subbed himself out of the game and then in his presser after the game said He did it because he needed a break. He was tired. I have never, ever heard of a quarterback doing that. And I certainly have never heard of a quarterback admitting that. That was crazy, man.
I don't even know what to say to that. It's something that I've never seen before. Um, you know,
The starting quarterback just tapping his helmet like, coach, I need a blow.
really doing it and just walking off, honestly. Walking, you know. Yeah, that's wild. And I get it, he runs around, but I mean, he's not the first quarterback that runs around out there, and it's the first time I've ever seen it. Just say, let's run it here. I need a breather or something. I don't know. I don't know. That's pretty shocking. Or you got to get in better shape. If you're the
Yes.
quarterback, you can't be getting tired and coming out of the game. No one else in the NFL is doing that. So is it that you're just expending more energy or you're not in as good a shape? I don't know what it is, but you got to fix it.
Maybe some sprints after practice. I I can only imagine how the guys in that locker room reacted to that. And I feel like I know how they reacted because Shane Steichen came out and benched Anthony Richardson for Joe Flacco this week. I don't think he really had a choice. You do that as the starting quarterback. You
It went,
send that message to the rest of your football team. Yeah, you're benched. Sit down.
it had to go one of two ways. One way is like, what the hell are you doing? You're the quarterback, you're the leader of the football team. You don't get to come out. All right, what the hell? We need to get you in better shape. What do we got to do? You can't do that. That was reaction one. Reaction two is expected. I would expect that from him. And if it's option number two, they got serious problems, you know?
Yeah. If it's option two, I I don't know what's going to happen with him the rest of the season. I actually think it's one of the more interesting storylines the rest of the way in the NFL because he's been bad. There's no doubt about it. But if you think he's the guy, you got to play him. Joe Flacco is not your future in Indy. He
I don't
gives you
think
a better chance to win games right now. There's no debating that. But and I know the organization is saying, "Hey, we're not giving up on Anthony." Are you sure?
I would. I'd give up on him right now.
I got a feeling a lot of guys in the locker room feel the same way after what he just pulled.
Like it was a it was a long shot to begin with whenever they drafted him. All right. You weren't you weren't drafting him off of quarterback skill. You're drafting him strictly off of athleticism and thought, hey, this is our Lamar Jackson or whoever you want to insert in there. And I don't, how long do you let that experiment play out?
Well, you can't let it play out when everyone in the locker room doesn't trust him.
No.
That's a recipe for disaster if you're Shane Steichen. I you know who I bet is the most pissed about this? The Vikings. They've got him on Sunday Night Football because now Anthony Richardson as a runner, yeah, that's a nightmare as a defense. But you have to imagine they were coming in to this game going, we're going to confuse the hell out of this guy. He's going to throw us 4 picks. And now you've got Joe Flacco, who's seen it all. You're not going to fool him at all. He's going to make the right read. He's going to make great decisions with the football. He's just going to take sacks instead of trying to make something crazy happen. The Vikings are looking at it going, damn it.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. And this is old school, and no one in the NFL would ever lower themselves to do it, but they have the perfect two quarterback system because Flacco, what does he care? There's no ego there. It's already all happened. He's at the end of his career. Yeah, I'm your passing guy. I'm your third down guy that can make all of the right decisions. Like just go in there and mix it up with him in the running game like crazy. That's what I would do. But they won't do that.
Flacco only comes in on third downs.
Or, passing situations, whatever. And he can come in and hand it off too, but it's like whenever you want to do like serious Wildcat stuff and you're worried about your quarterback coming out, right? And like, what's that doing with him ego wise? And this is the perfect situation for that. Nobody cares. Or at least they shouldn't. I don't think they do.
I would love to see that experiment.
Because Anthony Richardson, he's not a quarterback in the NFL. Come on, right? I mean,
up to this point, and he's still very young, and he's only played in a handful of games because remember the injury last year. But yeah, it has not looked good so far.
He's an athlete trying to play quarterback. You can't. It's too hard to do that in the NFL. And maybe I come back and I have to eat those words, but he's an athlete. Just let him go be an athlete. Quit trying to turn him into a quarterback.
An interesting thought. I'm intrigued. We'll send it to Steichen, see what he thinks.
Yeah, smart. And then whenever he taps the helmet, it's perfect. We're ready.
Here you go, Joe. Go sling it.
Go, Joe, throw the screen. Try a deep shot here. Whatever. Works perfectly.
Oh,
everyone's
funny.
Happy.
Birthday shout outs. Happy 30th birthday to Jordan Anschutz.
Happy 33rd birthday to Tyson Reed.
Happy 52nd birthday to Michael.
And happy birthday to Susie Lebovich.
Lebovich. Lebovich. I'm going Lebovich.
Happy birthday to Susie Lebovich.
Lebovich.
Happy birthday to Susie Lebovich.
Susie L. Happy birthday. And happy birthday to Rob Lindsay. On that note, episode 470 in the books. We'll have a new podcast that'll drop on Sunday. Just a reminder, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's all free and always will be. Hope you all have a great rest of your week. Have an awesome weekend. Enjoy the game. Until next time, we appreciate y'all for listening. Do what you always do, Oklahoma. Take care of each other.